In today's episode of the One Gang podcast, we're thrilled to introduce a visionary entrepreneur and passionate motorcyclist, Guillermo Cornejo. As the founder of Riders Share, Guillermo has revolutionized the way riders connect, share, and experience the freedom of the open road. Born out of Guillermo's own experiences and challenges in accessing motorcycles, Riders Share is his answer to making riding more accessible, affordable, and enjoyable for everyone. Today, we dive deep into the journey of Riders Share, the hurdles, the triumphs, and the road ahead. Stay tuned as we chat with the man steering the handlebars at Riders Share and discover the passion and drive behind his innovative platform, where motorcycle rentals are done right.
And so that's why I think, when people criticize billionaires, I'm like, you have no idea what
No
they have to go
idea.
through.
Nope.
Idea.
Nope.
Like, they were not just incredibly lucky, they were also extremely talented. They didn't stop learning, they work really hard, and they create a lot of value for other people.
Right. Yeah. Life. So, no question about it, man. It's a lot of hard work, but it's a great thing. So, tell us a little bit about how old you were when you first started. As far as let's start with the motorcycle side of it, because the businesses, the podcast, and the business, what you're doing is related to motorcycles. Where were you? How old were you when you just said, "Man, this shit is beautiful"? Like, that's what motorcycles are to people who love them. It's beauty and art. When did it hit you? How old were you? Take us into that world.
Yeah, I was 23 years old and I lived in Dallas, Texas, and I missed surfing in Peru, and so I was looking for something that to replace surfing, and I did skydiving. It was awesome, but
Nice.
it's really expensive. You
Yeah.
cannot do it every weekend, and then I got a cheap Kawasaki Ninja 250, and I loved it, and got the license and everything, and and after 2 months of riding, I got really cocky, and I was doing like 110 on the highway, like literally the maximum RPM that a Ninja Kawasaki
Yeah.
50 can do.
250, sure.
Yeah, and I was so bad. I was so bad at riding that I lost traction on a curve on the highway,
Shit.
and I slid, and nothing happened. I only broke my hand, and
Thank God.
I got a lot of road rash. A lot of road rash is more painful than a broken bone.
Agreed.
And I learned that jeans are not enough, and and then just quit riding for a couple of months after that. I was really scared.
You gotta
But,
heal up first, man.
Also, I couldn't afford to buy a replacement motorcycle, so that's when I looked into renting a motorcycle, and I was like, "Why is it so expensive?"
Huh. Yeah.
$200
That's how it
a
started.
day.
That's wild.
Like, yeah, it's just like the monthly payment on a motorcycle is less than $200. Why are you charging me $200 for one day of renting a motorcycle? That's absurd, right?
Mhm.
And at the time, I was working in the auto industry, and I was doing subprime loans for General Motors.
Mhm.
And I learned how they manage the risk. They had acquired this company that was the only company that was able to basically survive the Great Recession in the subprime world,
Hmm.
and it was extremely profitable because all of their competitors had gone bankrupt. And the reason why they were able to survive is that they were the first, they had more data, and they were using machine learning to predict risk, and they were super disciplined about risk.
Mhm.
And so when I looked at motorcycles, and I thought it's kind of a same concept, right? It's riskier than cars, and that's probably why it's so expensive.
Mhm.
And so I started looking into it, and I realized that another challenge is seasonality. People only rent motorcycles in the summer mostly.
Mhm.
And so I figured with the peer-to-peer rental model, you don't have to pay rent all year round, salaries and stuff. And so I figured with a peer-to-peer rental model, you could cut the cost of renting a motorcycle, and with risk management, you could make it, a little bit safer so that it doesn't ruin your profits, right? Because, we like people do drop motorcycles a lot, and part of the peer-to-peer rental model is you have to protect the motorcycle of the owner. And then that was when I was 24 years old, and it took me years before I was able to secure an insurance policy.
Mhm.
And it's very similar to securing funding, by the way. Just go to brokers and insurance carriers and pitch and pitch and pitch and hear their concerns and address them and whatnot. And and I had zero experience in the insurance industry, so I didn't know what I was doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But eventually, I found someone that helped me, and then we launched, and then that insurance policy didn't work out,
Oh,
and the app was garbage. So in 2016 we launched,
oh,
and we had to shut it down because it was just
wow.
so bad. Everything was so bad. Um,
And that's your
I went for
general
5.
liability policy, essentially, like insurance for the actual company, not for the renters. You're speaking of,
Yeah, they were
yeah.
not
Okay.
they were not paying for the claims, so I was like, "Fuck it, we cannot operate." And then
Jeez.
I paid him. I paid him myself. I had a job. I never quit my job. I had a really good job, so I could afford to, uh, at that point, to keep the company running.
Mm-hmm.
But not like that. So I shut it down, and then I went through like 5 different technical co-founders before I found Brandon
Wow.
on Reddit. I posted on Reddit motorcycles like, I'm starting like the Airbnb of motorcycles. I need someone that likes to code in React, and he replied right away. Right away, the only person that replied,
Wow.
and then yeah, that's
And
he was.
Brandon's your CTO. Is he like a CTO with you?
Yeah, and he's been around since the very beginning. He at the beginning we both worked for free. Then he quit his job, and I paid him a shitty salary out of my salary so he could work on rideshare full time.
Mm-hmm.
And then we launched Seed in February of 2018, and at that point, it was getting really really time consuming. I was like taking customer support calls at work and whatnot, and
Mm-hmm.
Right.
and it didn't work out. And so,
Where were you at that time? Were you with General Motors or Nissan? Where you were working?
oh, sorry, at that time I had moved to LA. I was working in Orange County for Hyundai Capital.
Oh, Hyundai. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, and they paid better, but also like I wanted to be in Southern California because it was like the largest market for what we're doing,
Mm-hmm.
or I thought it was the
What
largest
were you
market.
doing there? What kind of work were you doing for them at the time prior to while you were still working before you launched before you officially left?
Uh, all kinds of stuff, pricing for loans to dealerships, and then I did a FP&A, financial planning, did um, collections, optimizing a collection center to, when do we call them, how often do we call them. Like they moved me around because I guess I was one. I learned uh, how to code in SQL fairly at the beginning, back when I was at Nissan,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
and I was automating everything left and right, and it's funny because when I got to Hyundai, uh, all of my team had quit. The people that interviewed me, they were gone. So I get to my
Wow.
office, and there's no one. Like,
Wow.
what's going on here? You know? And luckily there was a Hyundai counter. Sorry, there was like Kia and Hyundai and Hyundai were separate. So I was with Kia, and then the Hyundai counterparts taught me the job.
Mm-hmm.
And because I was by myself, I was like, well, I cannot do this all by myself. So I wrote a little piece of code that took a process that took a couple of weeks and 5 people, and now it
Beautiful.
took 30 seconds.
Yes.
All the data was in databases. They didn't need to do anything manually, and so that there was a reorg after that because
Mm-hmm.
some people got laid off. Let's put it like that. Uh, so after that, they moved me around to all the different departments, that needed that kind of help.
Yep.
And
And at
so
that time, when you moved to LA, is that when you went to UCLA for your MBA? Is that when you were doing that, working on that, or was that before?
that was after, and so work. I got promoted to like a manager position, not just you know coding,
Mm-hmm.
and that started to get really really demanding on my time, and escaping to do customer service calls and stuff got really hard, and so but and then my parents really really wanted me to go to grad school, so I had applied to a bunch of schools, and UCLA gave me a full scholarship. So
Nice.
I figured, fuck it, I'm gonna go,
Hell
and
yeah.
for free I can use a student loan, so I don't have to like work, and then it freed up a lot of time for me to start rideshare, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was doing a full-time MBA while starting a company, and
Oof.
and I took it to $2 million in rentals in the second year while I was
Wow,
still in the
dude,
MBA program.
killer,
Yeah,
man. So when
yeah.
was the entrepreneurial part of you? When did that kick in, man? When did that all start? Like, like we were talking earlier, we were talking about like most people are comfortable with a good paying job, whatever the case may be. When was it in your head that it's like, fuck this shit, man? I want to own my own stuff. I want to do my own thing.
I think it's a combination of things, right? There's no one single thing that turns you into an entrepreneur, right? Like for example, my dad was an entrepreneur himself,
Mm-hmm.
and he wasn't great at it, and so he was always telling us, "Go be an engineer. Do not become an entrepreneur." My mom was like, "Study whatever you want." So I studied. I should have listened to my dad. I studied political science and economics, and then I graduated 4 months of unemployment because I didn't have any fucking skills.
Right, right,
um, but seeing my dad talk about entrepreneurship and stuff and how I don't know, I think that makes it real for you. Like, because if you don't know anyone that has ever started a company, it seems like something so abstract that
Yeah.
like that's something other people do.
Absolutely.
So that helps. And then I also dated a girl. I went to college at TCU in Texas,
Yep.
and damn, people have so much money there.
Yeah.
Like I've never. It was crazy. Me coming from Peru, a poor country, to
Yeah.
freaking everyone's a millionaire. If
Frog
your
money.
parents are doctors, you're poor.
Yeah.
Like it
Right,
was
right.
absurd levels of wealth there, and it made me a little insecure. It made me like a lot of girls rejected me because I wasn't in that social class. So I was
Right.
like, that's not cool. I want to fix this.
Yeah.
And so it's a bunch of little things, right, that get you there. And then, but most importantly, it was that at work, it was just like, why am I answering to these people? Like
Yeah,
they
man.
should be answering to me, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, young, dumb, and full of you know what. Yeah, yeah, for sure. So, did you like
yeah.
your experience school wise at TCU or UCLA?
I mean, it's different, right? Undergrad versus grad school is a totally different thing, right? But they were both awesome. TCU is definitely had a lot of fun. I think it was a little bit more demanding academically.
Mm-hmm.
MBAs are not very demanding academically nowadays,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a lot of networking going on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I think I partied harder in my MBA than I did in my undergrad, and not by choice, man. There was
Yeah.
so much going. There was so much going
course.
on. Like, yeah.
That's
If
fun.
it was up to me, we would have partied less. But if everyone's doing it, you don't want to miss out, right?
Man, you got to enjoy life too. You know what I mean? It's you can't just book yourself up and lock yourself up, man. So got to go through it.
Yeah. And both of them taught me very important different things, right? Like TCU was like relatively easy academically, but like they were really focused on how do you like learn, how do you read academic papers so that you don't have to memorize shit, you just go learn it when you need it, right?
Right.
And I think that's in in this era where there's so much disinformation, that kind of education was a freaking blessing. And then yeah, the MBA had a lot of practical, very very practical entrepreneurial advice. Of course, it's not enough. It doesn't replace real world experience,
Right.
but like it definitely helps you make less mistakes.
Yeah. I understand that.
Yeah, for
It
sure.
also hooked me up with it helped me get funding because I had absolutely no network. I'm from Peru, and once at the UCLA MBA, they had these pitch competitions. I didn't win them, but one of the judges liked me, and he was a venture investor. He didn't invest, but he recommended my company to TechStars
Yeah.
LA, and then TechStars LA was at the time really difficult to get in, and there's no way I would have gotten in without that personal recommendation.
Nice.
Wow.
And I got in like barely because they all thought the market was too small.
Mm-hmm.
And
They thought the motorcycle market was too small.
yeah,
Really?
because venture capital they want
Yeah,
big,
of course,
big markets,
masses.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so once I got into TechStars, that network opened up all kinds of doors. I was able to like talk to like 100 different investors. and all of them said no, except one fund in Texas.
Hmm.
So that's why I ended up moving back to Texas because
Gotcha.
of because of them. It's also cheaper in Texas. Like I
Yeah.
wouldn't be profitable if I was operating in California.
Right. Big time.
Everybody's moving out of California now, so all the businesses are leaving now. They're all going to Texas or Florida. Those are the two choices, man.
My lawyer gave me a list of states where not to hire people because since we're a remote company, we can hire anywhere, right?
Right.
But like, it gave me a list of states like California where like the risk of a lawsuit that is frivolous is so high that it's just not even worth it, you know.
Yeah.
And I've heard stories about frivolous lawsuits that it's just
Well, which one's ranked at the top? Do you remember the list?
Oh, for business, I don't remember.
No,
No, he only gave me a list of states where not to hire.
where not to hire. Got it.
Yeah. And I didn't even ask for it, by the way. He has did this on his own.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Hey,
good
so
friend.
so rider share became it became alive when you crashed your motorcycle and you started looking into ways to be able to rent something for the time being while not being able to afford to buy a bike. Is that correct?
Correct.
That's cool. That's cool. And then just out of the was it something that inspired you in between? I mean, I know the bike thing and you wanted to rent a bike, but was there a business that you looked up to that maybe kind of was similar in that you saw something or?
Oh yeah, absolutely. At the time, the sharing economy was all the rage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Uber, Airbnb, and then Turo started doing had at the time was called relay rides. They had started doing it with cars.
Mm-hmm.
RV Share was doing this with RVs.
Yep.
And there's a couple of companies doing it with boats.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, motorcycles was like the only niche that was left.
Yeah.
You know,
Really? Nice.
and well, there's a few more, but that I wish I had thought of at the time. But motorcycles is the one that I knew, so
Right.
that's why I got into this. And yeah, and particularly the boat and RV sharing companies. There's like roughly a similar number of motorcycles as out there as there are boats and RVs.
Mm-hmm.
So I figure if those businesses got busy funding and stuff, like I think motorcycles should too.
Yeah.
Why not you, right? Yep.
Yeah. Apparently, that's not enough for venture capitalists, though.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why those businesses got funding is that RVs and boats are way more expensive than motorcycles, so the markets are a lot bigger.
That makes sense.
But still, I still think we can turn this into a really, really big company if we can make motorcycle rentals so affordable that more people start to ride motorcycles because they no longer have to worry about ownership.
Mm-hmm.
And we can also expand into other power sports like ATVs and snowmobiles and into other countries. So hopefully it will get big.
Sure, it will. It will. What you're doing is awesome. So it will. You can see it. Checking rates, like I was going through some different rates, and basically, how do is it the newer the bike, the more expensive the rates? Is that how it usually works, or is it the more expensive the motorcycle, the more expensive the rates?
So
Because I saw different ones, and there was some that I thought were pretty cool. I'm like, oh, that's pretty reasonable. And some I was like, shit, 200, 250. I was like, I don't know, like you were saying.
The owners of the motorcycles set their own rates, and we do it that way because we don't know what the cost of maintaining that particular bike is and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
we don't know. Yeah, like they, their time might be really valuable. They don't have a lot of time, so they are only willing to do it if they get paid a lot of money, right?
Right.
And so we let owners set their own rates. We provide a recommendation based on the price of the original MSRP of the motorcycle and how old it is.
Mm-hmm.
And but we only control the price of the damage waivers that we sell when people rent the motorcycle,
Mm-hmm.
and those are decided mainly by risk factors.
Interesting.
It's with motorcycles, property damage is more important than liability.
Mm-hmm.
Because like if you hit someone with a motorcycle, like you're not gonna if you hit a car with a motorcycle, like you might damage the bumper, but
Yeah.
you're not
Very seldom does it get totaled.
Yeah, and so it's usually damage to the motorcycle itself. So I can tell you the price of the motorcycle, the market value is important to us, but yeah, it's not as important as like the experience of the rider,
Hmm.
the driving record of, we the credit report is also a factor.
That's cool.
That's interesting. What were some of the biggest obstacles you were running across when you launched this, and then Brandon, is it? He came on board, he designed the platform that you wanted, or that you felt was, because didn't you first knock one down and completely get rid of it, and then came back and started a new one?
Yeah, I think the biggest obstacle is on this 7th month of starting rideshare, we started getting people that use stolen credit cards to uh, and fake entities to steal motorcycles or
Shit.
rent them for free.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, like it happened very quickly. At first, the first scammer, it was a group from Nigeria. They were listing fake motorcycle listings and then asking people to, hey, go outside the platform, wire us money, right?
Hmm.
And so we implemented like, okay, we're gonna check if their phone number is VoIP. That way, because that's what they were using, and Airbnb requires that, so we did that. And then they started getting we started getting local scammers that were more sophisticated.
Hmm.
And holy shit, the amount of time that we've spent adding APIs and vendors just to deal with fraud, it's insane.
Wow.
It's a big problem. I think, most people don't understand how big, like when you're paying for something online, chances are that it could be, you know, 2% cheaper, but there's like a tax that everyone's paying because of fraudsters. It's so common.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So, you have to add certain things and to protect the fraud part of it that you pay for in the service, correct? As far
Yeah,
as like what you guys have to implement on your marketplace, how does that work?
yeah.
Like, tell me a little bit about that.
I mean, honestly, it's ridiculous. Like we ask people, like, take a picture of your license front and back.
Right.
Now take a picture, take a selfie, and it has to be live. You have to move your face up and down and to a left.
Yeah.
That way we check that it's not a picture you grabbed from the internet.
Yeah.
And then we match the picture against the face. We do this by texting you a link. When we text you the link and you open it, it tells us like what uh, is it a prepaid phone or is it like a subscription to AT&T or
Oh, wow.
Verizon?
Wow.
And if so, what's the name of the person that owns that phone, right?
Yeah.
And usually that's a pretty good one. Like if the name if the name matches the name on the license on the credit card, then it's in the clear. We don't need to run other checks.
Hmm.
But if it doesn't, and it often doesn't because the girlfriend's looking for the boyfriend or
Oh,
whatnot,
right.
then we need to keep doing stuff.
So where does it go from that? Like, say if my wife decided to uh, book a motorcycle for us on the trip, blah blah blah. It's a surprise. Where does it go from there? And I'm only asking because anybody who's watching that will sign on, so they know exactly what to do and the proper things. So they don't quit in the middle of a process and continue on, because this is an important part of it. Is the fraudulent part of it?
So basically, we text you the link to verify your license and identity, and once you do that, that's it. That's all it takes.
Yep.
It's not, and we also ask you that you verify your email address because, of course, people can steal your email account and use it to
Right.
impersonate you.
Right.
And so that's it. Behind the scenes, we do a lot more than that, but I cannot tell you because if a fraudster hears what I'm telling you,
Right.
they will know how to
Oh,
find
oh,
a
got it,
loophole.
got it. Understand.
Yeah,
No worries, man. No worries. I
it's
figured makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
it's a serious problem,
It's
dude.
just,
Like
I'll
they
tell
made
you,
a Netflix
if
show
these
about it.
animals, these online guys who've been fraudulent, if they would put their minds to something useful as far as helping society instead of fucking it, can you imagine how powerful we would be?
I know, dude. Like,
Right? I mean,
I
for
mean,
them to go through what they go through and how much money they actually embezzle out of innocent people. My God, if that went to a good cause, how awesome it would be.
It's crazy. Like
Crazy.
they have VPNs, they have phone numbers that our system, you know, that thinks they belong to a real person. Like
Hmm.
they use AI to create a face and then
Yep.
copy paste it on their license, then print the freaking license to make it look
Man.
exactly like a real one.
Yeah.
It is they go through some lengths and all for what for like a $3,000 motorcycle, some like that. Then the police finds them and they go to jail. Like it's
Right.
just like
It's crazy.
Insane.
yeah,
That's
you're
ludicrous.
right.
So how much of your fraud prevention did you have to bring on as third party for implementation?
Um, I don't know. I think we have like 5, 6 vendors at this point. We've consolidated. We found a vendor that aggregates a lot of vendors, so
Hmm.
that helps us
Nice.
Nice, nice.
eliminate.
So
Yeah,
you're only dealing with one company, but they deal with everybody else.
yeah,
Sweet.
yeah. And then there are companies nowadays that kind of do this for you, like the whole stack in one place. But when we started, that didn't exist,
Hmm.
so we had to add vendors one by one and figure it out, right? Um, but the good thing is that all that data that we extract to prevent fraud also helps us to predict insurance risk sometimes.
Hmm.
And so we throw it all in there into like a neural network,
Hmm.
and that thing has been wonderful. It really helped us, achieve profitability uh, last year. And prior to that, we were using machine learning, and that was better than nothing, but it was not. We're still getting a lot of accidents, so
Hmm.
and then last year we started requiring everyone to leave at least a $500 deposit, because prior to that we didn't require deposits for low risk customers.
Hmm.
So that came out of you, right? If something happened, that would come from ridershare, correct?
The deposit is from the renter, right? And
Right.
so
Well, what I'm saying, if they weren't leaving deposits, the large deposits where you weren't requiring it,
Beforehand.
and something happened, then you'd have to cover it, correct?
oh yeah, correct. And then but also like it just so happens that with these deposits it make it harder for fraudsters to test a bunch of different stolen credit cards to see which one works.
Yeah.
And so that really helped really really mitigate fraud. And we started requiring everyone to buy a damage waiver, because people's insurance policies are not paying for claims, or
Right.
they take like 2 years to pay for a claim. So
Hmm.
that it's just I don't I don't have that kind of cash.
Hmm.
So that really helped. And the neural network has gotten, it's so freaking accurate
Really.
that yeah, like it says, like I have 7 segments, and each segment has a predicted probability of between 1 and 1.5% probability of an accident. And then 6 months later, like it's exactly like with
It's
between
amazing.
like it's ridiculously good. So we put that, so we price the damage waivers to like make the same, to basically break even on insurance regardless of how risky you are.
Hmm.
So some people are going to see a much higher cost than others,
Hmm.
but we, regardless of who they are, we're not making a profit on insurance, right? We're just
Covering.
Hey,
covering.
Guillermo,
Yeah.
take me through something. All right. For example, I rent a bike. I signed a damage waiver, right? When you sign the damage waiver, that's basically stating that uh, the insurance, your insurance is covering it, or my insurance is covering it
As a renter,
as a renter.
um, we have made it so that like you don't have to pay for anything above the deductible. But if you do have insurance, we will tap it and refund you the damage waiver if they do pay.
Got it. Got it. So I rent the motorcycle. God forbid something happens, right? The bike is damaged. Now, at this point in time, the claim goes how? We put the claim in with you, or does the claim get put in by the bike owner or the renter?
Either one can file a claim on Rideshare, and then we take it from there. We have now we have in-house adjusters again to cut costs,
Oh,
and
awesome.
they reach out to the customers. They do it a lot faster than the insurance companies that we used to work with.
Mm-hmm.
And we try to do everything in writing. That way, there's no he says, she says.
Smart. Right.
Awesome.
Unfortunately, there are some people that are trying to take advantage of the system, and so everything's in writing now. And some people hate that, but you'll thank me later.
That's right. If you're protected and it's on paper, my God, you should be thankful. Don't be angry about it.
Yeah, it takes more time than talking, to write it down. But like, here's a statement in writing from the renter. Here's a statement in writing from the owner,
Mm-hmm.
and here's a statement from the third party that you hate. And then
Mm-hmm.
we can take it from there. And so we try to keep it all in writing. And then yeah, we estimate the amount that it takes to repair the vehicle. If the estimate is wrong, the dealership can or repair shop can submit a supplement, and
Mm-hmm.
and if they're not making stuff up, we'll pay for it. and
Right.
But yeah, it's one of the difficult things out of the business is that dealerships charge so much money to repair motorcycles. It
Mm.
really drives up our costs, right? And so we have to be super super careful. Um, like we need to negotiate hard with dealerships to get the cost down,
Mm-hmm.
but also like make sure they're not writing stuff up that wasn't damaged, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Or
yeah, yeah.
that was
To take more.
pre-existing damage.
And how has that been talking to the dealerships about, hey, I'm going to send you business. This is what we do. We're going to provide for you. God forbid if anything happens, it's going to go directly to you. Okay, are they working with you as far as because I know dealerships. I own a service, repair service, custom
Yeah,
builds, and all that stuff. That's what I've been doing the last 20 years. So I know what goes into a crashed motorcycle. We've done a lot of insurance jobs at my shop, so I understand how it goes. Are you able to? Are they compliant enough to say, "Hey, all right, help you out a little bit, cut my hourly labor rate down"? And are they working with you like that, or are they working with you more on parts? Like, we'll get parts at our cost, and then you just pay the labor. How's your negotiations been with that? Or are they just
we're
going
not
for the throat?
we're not big enough to like be able to pull that off, right? And so like um we might be doing 50,000 rental days per year, but
Mm-hmm.
that means there's only like 500 accidents spread out over 50 states. The biggest is California, so that we might get 100. Like I don't know, in our largest market, in our largest city, we might get one accident a week, and then it's not even the same part of the city. So like you know, it's just we rarely ever have the volume to be able to do those kind of things. So
Understand.
yeah,
Because
but
it's so spread out everywhere.
there are a lot of dealerships that list motorcycles for rent on rideshare, and so we have a good relationship
Nice.
with them, and so they don't try to rip us off. So when by law we cannot tell the customer where to do the service,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but we can always recommend that they go to
Right.
hey, this we would know this person in
Yeah,
Hawaii. Yeah.
ABC. Yep, I gotcha. What's been some of the? I'm gonna go into two. It's gonna be kind of like a two-part question. What's been really the biggest failure to date, and what did you learn from it as somebody who's your company is what? It's gonna be 9 years old. No, wait. You started at 18, so shit, you're 5 years old, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So 5 years in. Let's start with the bad first, just to get that out of the way. But what's been like, in your opinion, a biggest failure to date that kind of you learned a lot from it, and what you've done to change it, and what it's provided going forward?
Biggest failure.
Or maybe something you overlooked, or didn't pay as much attention to, but then it kind of caught up to you, and then you understood that you had to kind of make some changes, just things that maybe
Yeah.
you unforced, you didn't see coming, that type of thing.
A forced pivot.
Yeah. I
Forced
think.
pivot, great one.
I mean, we already talked about fraud, right? That's the
Right,
biggest
right.
one. I think we've lost in 5 years. We've lost like $1 million to fraud, right?
Holy shit.
Yeah. And we in the last 6 months we lost like $20,000 to fraud. So we gotten a lot better at it, but it was definitely unforeseen.
Mm-hmm.
And then besides that, I had like very little experience, well, no experience managing investors and understanding their incentives and how sometimes they don't align with mine.
Mm-hmm.
And so in 2021, interest rates were 0%.
Mm-hmm.
There was a ton of money going into venture capital.
Mm-hmm.
So it's in their best interest to deploy that money as quickly as possible because they get paid management fees for deploying that capital, right?
Yeah.
And so they told me, hey, I need you to, hey, take this money. I want you to spend all the money you can, burn the ships, and then grow as fast as possible so we can get a Series A and then, you know, keep growing fast, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I did that, and then like the amazing fundraising environment uh, ended when the Fed raised rates,
Mm-hmm.
and very quickly,
Mm-hmm.
and so we could not raise Series A, and I had no money, so I was
Jeez.
at the mercy like, hey, like and they used that opportunity to try to replace me as CEO, and
The man.
like, hey, if you want more money, you need to take on this executive, right? But I got really lucky that the guy they had in mind, he was a really good guy. He interviewed all of our employees, yeah, but like 60 of our customers, and he was like, like everyone's the customers are really really happy, the employees are really really happy.
Yes.
Nothing for me to Nothing
Beautiful,
for me to
man.
do here,
Yeah.
like.
Right.
So he didn't take the job.
Whew.
I still had to I had to hire a COO because that's the best they could find.
Gosh.
And all of my entrepreneur friends that whose investors forced them to hire a COO, it's never been good. Like
No.
that's just a guy that's gunning for your job and cares absolutely zero about building a company and
Right.
making customers happy.
Right.
And
It's your vision, not theirs.
it's not just vision, man. It's work ethic. It's
Yeah.
honestly
The blood,
brains
sweat,
too.
and gears, baby. Blood, sweat, and
Like
gears.
a lot of executives in corporations, like they're really good at PowerPoints and
Mm-hmm.
politics and
Mm-hmm.
getting shit done
Mm-hmm.
via politics, right?
Right.
But that doesn't help at all in in the startup world.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You said the
Yeah.
biggest part is brains. Is that what you said?
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
Like I just
Because
I don't
brains
know how to
versus
explain it.
politics, there's common sense and there's politics and there's getting stuff done right in the middle, and that politics is never going to get there as quick as the brains will. That's funny.
That's right.
But more like a lot of managerial positions at 14500, like you just sit in a desk making PowerPoints and Excels, right?
Right.
And because his title was COO, like he felt that that was mostly what he did: PowerPoints and shitty Excels,
Mm-hmm.
and that doesn't help.
Yeah.
Like you can't code. You're not doing. Are you doing customer support at least? Like,
Right.
what? And partnerships are a potential way to grow, but not in our industry. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
who can I partner with? Harley Davidson, but they're already taken. So partnerships are not really like something that would move the needle for us.
Right.
So like we're just paying a really big salary to keep my investor happy. And
Ugh.
he tried to fix our accounting, make it better, made it worse, spent a lot of money.
Mm.
And then I didn't because I don't do politics. I didn't realize that every single board meeting he had been like throwing me under the bus, but very subtle, And
Mm-hmm.
and I'm so naive, and I love this guy, And then my accountant, who's the CFO at a big company,
Yeah.
or well, bigger startup, told me, dude, I looked at your last board meeting deck. Don't you see what he's doing? And I was like,
Yes.
fuck, you're
That's
right.
awesome.
I
Pushing you
Accountant came
out,
through.
right? Pushing you out, man.
So the last board meeting that we had with him, I destroyed his draft, did it myself, and like we spent $60,000 trying to redo accounting, and instead, we're back to where we were before with my old accountant. But don't worry, I fixed it. Like the problem is no more. But like and basically, did the same thing that he did to me, calling out all these things that happened at the company
Yeah.
without pointing that finger at him.
Yeah.
But investors are not stupid. They realize pretty quickly, oh, this guy's just a politician.
And you're trying to believe in the good of people, and meanwhile, he's trying to rake you over the coals. That's brutal.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, I was really inexperienced when I started a company. I made a lot of mistakes, when it comes to fraud, when it comes to how software works, when it comes to how to deal with investors and hiring people. There are so many mistakes you can make along the way that if you fuck up hard enough, you'll destroy the company.
Yeah.
And the worst part is that it never ends, right? Like as the company gets bigger, there's newer types of
bigger problems. As they get bigger, the bigger problems come alive. So, right, more money, more problems. Well, right, that song by what's his name there? E. Diddy.
But also, like, it's a different job, right? So now you're no longer talking to customers yourself. Now you manage a team of customer support people. Like,
right.
It's things change. You need to keep learning, and so so it's fun, right?
Yeah. Hey, kids, entrepreneurial. It's the way to go. If you want to have a heart attack at an early age. Yeah, for sure. So how many total employees now?
6.
Nice.
And what are the roles? What do you have? How's it broken up?
2 software developers, 2 claim adjusters, 1 customer support, and me.
Nice.
And then the customer support people and I also dabble as customer support.
Cool.
Awesome.
You got to wear different hats.
I do accounting, marketing,
data
analytics, insurance, you name it.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I have a lot of free time because everything is automated.
Yeah, that's awesome. Man. That's funny. You probably weren't very enjoyed as a coworker at the Hyundai when you're getting placed in different departments. They're thinking, oh, great, the freaking Dr. Death is here to automate my job. But you were like the company's dream.
Dr. Death.
To be able to apply it to your own business has to be just such an amazing feeling to finally turn that back towards yourself and bettering your lives and people who are working with you and for you. It's got to be a pretty great feeling.
Well, Hyundai had a ping pong table and a lot of people from Korea that were really good at ping pong. And I definitely miss. We would spend like 4 hours a day playing ping pong, man. I got so good at that stuff.
Nice.
Because once you automate your job at a corporate job like that, you got nothing to do,
Time on your hands. Yeah, for sure.
That's wild. So what nowadays? So besides the fraud stuff, what is the most stressful? And this is a 2-part question. I'm going to ask the stressful part first, but what's the most stressful aspect or aspects of what you're doing today with the business? And then also, what are the best pros currently? So freedom and things like that. Where's your head at now with the state of the business?
I think and this is never going to end. Is running out of cash, right?
Yeah.
So the business is extremely seasonal. So in November and December, we always have very little cash.
Feast or famine.
And then on top of that, we have the variability of insurance claims. And so we have to predict them very, very accurately, and we have to predict the seasonality and growth really, really accurately, because we might have a lot of cash in the bank, but most of it doesn't belong to us. It belongs to customers.
Right.
And the one that belongs to us, the customer could cancel the booking, and then you're out of cash.
Oh, wow.
So
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and we spend most of our marketing at the beginning of the year when people are planning their trips. And then, so if we spend too much, we're going to run out of money in November and December. So data has been critical for us to, analytics is critical for us. Yeah. But yeah, the fun part is that I we are fully remote. I can work from anywhere.
Lima
right now, and at this point, I've managed to delegate everything I don't like doing. Coding, customer support, claim adjusting. And so I'm only doing stuff that I like doing, and so it doesn't feel like I'm working. It feels like I'm just constantly having fun playing.
That's an
with
awesome
hobbies.
place to be. How cool.
Yeah.
And then,
Thanks.
so when you started talking about money running out and things like that now, and this isn't a stressful question, but when you first launched and you're considering, I got to get some people wanting to rent their bikes out. So you go from 0 to 1 or 0 to 10 or 0 to 500. What did that process look like? And did you actually have a strategy or a plan ahead of time, or were you going by the seat of your pants for that first 500 or 1,000 bike rentals? And also, was it regional, or did you open it up across a whole area and advertise everywhere? Or that's one of the biggest questions for entrepreneurs in any business, is how do you get over that first bump?
Yeah. And the correct way to do it is to not have a plan.
Nice.
It's more like a science experiment, right? Like
Seat of
you
your
need to be really.
pants.
Sorry.
Yeah, like from the seat of your pants, you just go, man. Whatever you got to do, you go.
Yeah, you try things, and especially with marketing, it's super important to like document everything you tried and
Right.
the results to
Mhm.
like compare what works, learn, and treat it like a science experiment.
Mhm.
In my case, I was in LA. I dropped business cards at biker rallies everywhere I could, on
Mhm.
biker bars and stuff.
Mhm.
That was a lot of fun. I would go riding, and then I would drop business cards and talk to riders about what I'm doing,
That's cool.
and hope they didn't laugh at me for
Right?
trying to start something so crazy. And then
Nobody's touching my bike.
exactly. They tell that on Facebook comments, but they've never told that to my face once.
Mhm.
I mean, they told they wouldn't do it, but but not in the mean ways they say it on Facebook comments.
Of
Like
course, once they can hide behind
yeah,
a keyboard, it's a
of
little
course,
different.
Yeah.
exactly. So it's not as hard as it is online. And then but I think that the key for us was we got a lot of press from from the Orange County Register, like Ride Apart,
Nice.
motorcycles.com, and the way I got that press, I just fucking emailed them,
Yeah.
a
Mhm.
very simple email. It wasn't even from a ridershare.com address. It was from like a gmail.com address because
Yeah.
at the time I was too broke to pay for like a professional email,
Uh-huh.
and so that really helped get a lot of bikes. And once we had like the first 500 bikes,
Mhm.
so like yeah, we also posted listings on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace, all of those free, everything that's free.
Yeah, free
Right.
you
we did it.
used. Yep.
Yeah, business cards are also super cheap,
Mhm.
and then press, and also everything was focused on LA, the LA area market, right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
Um, so once we got those first 500 bikes, I started running ads, Google Ads, to get demand for those bikes.
Mhm.
And when you get demand, you also get more supply, right?
Right.
And we grew from $0 to $60,000 in rentals in 6 months.
That's
Wow.
wild.
It was
Wow.
yeah, it was just me and Brandon coding like all day fucking long, trying to
Mhm.
build. It was really, the website was really bad at the time because it was just one dude trying to build Turo in 2 months, and
Right.
Yeah.
and then I was doing customer support, accounting. I had no idea how to do accounting for this type of business, but hey, here I was, and
Mhm.
insurance claims, you name it. Luckily, the first 6 months we didn't have a single insurance claim.
Whew.
That got me like really hopeful.
Yeah.
And then and then shit hit the fan, right?
Mhm. Right.
And then fraudsters came along. Once you get mainstream, it that's when all the bad stuff happens.
Mhm.
And but I got lucky that we has to pay for all this advertising and insurance policy and my co-founder's salary.
Mhm.
I had some savings that quickly ran out, and then I applied to like 10 credit cards at the same time.
Yep.
8 of them got approved, so I got like basically $100,000 worth of credit cards.
Nice.
And then I took out some student loans, but I used that money to fund ridershare, not to fund myself.
Mhm.
And yeah, and I was a few weeks. I had a few weeks of runway, before I ran out of money, and not a single investor had like deigned,
Ugh.
talk to me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even get into their office. But I got lucky that there was a small investor out of Houston that he had listed a Harley on Ridershare and he had made thousands of dollars.
Ha.
So he was like really happy with
It
the
works.
concept.
The idea
Nice.
works. Yeah.
Yeah, and he has a couple $100,000, and that to me was like an insane amount of money.
Right.
Of course, man. Of course.
So I paid off all of those debts,
Mm-hmm.
renewed our insurance policy because we had such a good track record at a much lower rate, which
Mm-hmm.
allowed us to have a little bit of profit margins in the rentals.
Mm-hmm.
It's tiny, but at least it wasn't negative. And then spend the remaining 50 grand on ads.
Mm-hmm.
And so we kept growing and growing, and then that same investor decided to invest more money, and then another dude in LA, he runs a hedge fund at the time. He ran a hedge fund called Edgebrook Partners.
Mm-hmm.
He was like really, really like
Mm-hmm.
like not a mainstream thinker. He's like, I'm getting out of equities and I'm going to invest in your company. I'm never going to do another startup investment, but I really missed out on our V share. So
Ah.
so he gave us, yeah, between those two investments, we got $500,000,
Nice.
and it's just two of us. So like that money was never gonna run out, right?
Right.
And so
You think, right?
but seriously, like I blew most of that money on Facebook ads in 2020, in 2019,
Mm-hmm.
and then the company grew like fucking crazy. We're doing like 1.8 million a year.
Yeah.
How much did you invest? How much did your best year of investing into your marketing budget? How much did you spend?
My best year was 2021,
Okay,
and
so
I
how much
invested
did you spend that year on marketing?
like $1 million.
$1 million. No shit.
Yeah,
Damn.
that's when they told me to burn the ships.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say about half of that was totally wasted trying to find channels that work better than Facebook and Google.
That's what I wanted to ask you. Yeah. Yeah. So you said
never,
Google ads and Facebook ads. No other channels worked out?
and we tried call centers. We tried,
Wow.
you name it, dude. It's email marketing with buying email addresses. We tried. The list is so long, dude. It's just stressful to think about.
Yeah. All right. We don't want to stress
painful.
you.
It's
Yeah,
painful, yeah.
we don't want to bring that pain back, man. We want to keep this a happy, joyous family show.
So all that
Yeah,
boomeranged you back to stick with Facebook and Google. You were getting the
pretty
best
much.
ROI.
And
on
SEO, right? I
SEO,
think
yeah.
our best investment was SEO.
Mhm.
We started doing that in 2019,
Mm-hmm.
and it really only paid off until 2021.
Mm-hmm.
But it paid off big. Like
Yeah.
I think right now we usually rank number one when people search for motorcycle rental,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's demand that you don't have to pay money to get. So
Right.
it's really
Exactly.
helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a very smart investment. And it does take time. Usually takes 4 months minimum just to get the very first little, increase in your rankings. But once you're up there, it's a no-brainer. And now are you noticing
Yeah.
competition coming in?
Yeah. So Twisted Roads started in the second half of 2017.
Mm-hmm.
So a
We'll
little
bleep their
before
name
we
out.
did.
Yeah, we don't need them in here. There's only one
Yeah.
rental company, peer to peer, guys. Rider share,
Appreciate it.
baby.
Yeah, but their first year or their first 2 years, they didn't have insurance whatsoever, right?
Yikes.
People had to provide their own insurance,
Mhm.
and most motorcycle insurance policies do not cover rentals.
That's right.
So
Right.
like I don't know how that even worked. I don't know how that worked out, but
Yeah.
it certainly I got a lot of customers that probably would have gone to them in those 2 years because we had insurance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that gave us a huge lead, and then I also invested more in product. Like I think in 2019 we hired a second software developer,
Mm-hmm.
and both of them are US based
Nice.
and experienced
Mhm.
at this point. And so like our website it still is like so far ahead, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's like it may look the same on the surface,
Right.
but like there's so many little details that you cannot imagine that they move the needle like 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%, and
Yeah.
next thing you know, a customer comes to our website and we convert them into paying customers at twice the rate that they do.
Yeah.
Or to give an example, we allow people to
amazing.
message before they rent,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a problem because that means they can talk and take that
Take up
conversation
time.
to another platform,
Right. Right.
So we also built a system to monitor the conversations so that if they're talking about cash or sell it, it's a potential scammer.
Mhm.
We get notified and we do something about it, right?
Yeah.
And
Wow.
so
That's awesome.
So it may seem like a small feature, but there's like a lot of shit that
Yes.
goes
That's
behind the scene to
huge,
make it
man.
work.
That's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
And so we have all kinds of stuff like that allow us to charge lower prices to lower risk customers and reduce friction between customers and makes life easier for owners. Like
Yeah.
I can pause my listing on each day, and they really add up. And so now I think we have probably we have doubled the supply, but probably quadrupled the active supply, because we also spend a lot of time making sure that the motorcycles on the website are actually still available, that they were not sold, that they
Right.
were not in an accident. And
Right.
so
How'd you go through that? Just following up with questions to the users' emails or something?
emails and text messages,
Yeah, gotcha.
and also like that's where the messaging system is really helpful, because you can message someone before they rent, and surprisingly when people do that, uh, it reduces the cancellation rate by 10 percentual points.
Mm,
And so
the
just
lack of
having that
remorse.
yeah,
Hmm.
like if the host sees a message from the renter, they're a lot less likely to decline it, and so that's one quick way to grow our revenue by 10% year over year.
It's
It's
amazing.
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of things like that, and so now we are like probably 5-6 times bigger than they are,
Hmm.
which means there's economies of scale, better prices, customer
Right.
support that is, you know,
Yeah, it's a big
not
gap.
24/7, but most days, and it's just
Mostly, right.
yeah.
That's
Um,
awesome. That's awesome.
it's so hard to do this. Like yeah, so a lot of platforms like this have existed before
Hmm.
that have gone under. I don't even remember the names anymore, but there were a couple here in the States. There was another one called Fuel in Britain.
Hmm.
There was one in Switzerland.
Motorcycle
You
specific.
know, yeah,
Okay.
it's then they all go under. It's really tough.
What's your
Uh,
what's your progress been like going overseas and taking this on an international level? In addition to like, are you in the process of that now? Is that something you're looking into? Where are you on that stage?
so because Canada is the closest, like I have some meetings with Canadian lawyers and stuff to see what it takes,
Hmm.
and it's just, it's difficult. Like new regulations, especially around insurance and privacy and whatnot.
Hmm.
Canada is the easiest to expand into, and it's still at least a year away.
Lots of red tape.
We have so much room to grow in the United States. Like we can do all these features to expand into Canada, or we can do all these features that grow the U.S. market by 10% each.
Hmm.
Like it's just obvious that like Canada is such a small market compared to the U.S. that it just makes more sense to
So you're
focus on
saying your focus and concentration and your marketing dollars and everything that you're doing, you're staying focused to stay in the States, right? Build it even bigger.
right. So the correct way to do it is to prioritize your resources on the stuff that has the most ROI.
Hmm.
And so
Right.
that's why once we stop growing the United States, that's when you should
Start
focus
looking
on
outside.
international.
I
Gotcha.
imagine Canada is even more seasonal too.
Exactly.
You get like 3 days in Canada to rent a bike, man.
Yeah, but it's gonna be a good practice, for expanding into our country. So we do Canada first, we
Smart.
learn,
Yeah.
and then South Africa, Australia, because they're in the south, and
Right,
Yeah.
right. The warmer climates, the areas where you can ride out mostly all year round. So, of course, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, all right, cool. So, where are you? Let everybody know where is Rider Share going into 2024? Where are you as far as amount of bikes that are on the site for rental? What's the vision for 2024? What's the next thing you guys are implementing or working on for 2024? Where are you guys now?
we have 4,000 motorcycles available for rent,
Nice.
and we're gonna spend a lot of money on marketing again this year to get more bookings to those motorcycles,
Hmm.
and but also to get more motorcycles to new locations. There's a ton of towns and cities where Rideshare doesn't have listings, and or cities where we only have, you know, 5 motorcycles, and it's not enough to meet demand.
Hmm.
So we have a lot of room to grow, and so marketing is the number one priority. In terms of product, there's a ton of details that we need to polish still, and before we even think about doing mobile apps. And there's there might be an opportunity for us to go into off-road power sports this summer.
That's
Nice.
cool.
Yeah, our insurance broker is working on that for a different client of theirs. So they were like, "Hey, do you want to enter off-road?" And I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah.
Like we
That
already
could
have
blow up.
everything up.
It's
I
huge
think
now.
there's
It's huge. It's a huge,
rentals.
huge industry now. Well, yeah, rental's
Mm.
probably tough because it's you're off road, right, and a lot more liability involved, or no? As far
Yeah,
as like,
but you're right. And the way we're gonna do it, we're not gonna take any of that insurance risk. We're gonna let the insurance carrier take on the entire risk because I agree with you. Like I don't know anything about off-road.
right.
Seems riskier.
It's risky.
But yeah, but you're right. It's a bigger market. There's a lot of overlap with motorcycle riders. So
For sure.
hopefully, yeah, if it does happen, we'll probably see it on the news and it'll be fun.
All right, that's awesome. That's awesome. Ben, you got anything else before we get into our speed round? You got the
round.
speed round coming up, man. 2 minutes,
Okay.
15 questions, but I'm going to throw in a 16th question, which will be the last one. And you'll
Go for
laugh at it.
Okay.
All right. Let's do it. Best motorcycles built, past or present?
Best motorcycles built?
Built, past or present?
Shit. Man, I never thought of that. I really like the BMW GS 1200.
The newer ones or the older ones?
All of them.
All of them. Okay.
I love the sound of the Boxer and how reliable they are.
Yeah,
They can
for
go-
sure. Great bikes.
They just do everything. Yeah.
Best place you ever rode to and visited? It could be city, state, or country. On 2 wheels.
We were in Lima and we just grabbed a road up the Andean mountains without a destination.
Wow.
And we ran into this small town that had been recently all painted colorfully by a non-profit, and there was a lot of ruins along the way because Peru, it has fucking ruins everywhere, dude. You look around and yeah, so that was a really cool trip,
Nice.
mainly because it was totally unplanned. It was my dad and I were just like,
Nice.
we're just gonna go as far as we can.
Your dad rides. So you're saying your dad rides with you. That's cool, man. That's fantastic. My son, he's 17. He's going for his motorcycle license. So I can't wait to start doing trips with him. I'm so stoked, dude. All right, next question. Fuel injected, carbureted, or electric? Which bike do you want?
I've never owned an electric, but I can't fucking wait. I hate doing maintenance. I'm not a mechanic. My dad's the engineer. Like I'm a coder. I don't do anything. So I electric. I
Electric?
Can't wait for that shit.
All right,
Yes,
cool.
the range is so bad. They're not there yet, but one day.
All right. Next question. Favorite style bike? Cafe, sport bike, cruiser, or other?
I like cruisers.
Cruisers, me too.
I'm old.
Yeah,
Yes,
me
I'm
too.
not that
You're old. You're a puppy kid compared to me. All right.
Comfortable.
Next question. Favorite cruising speed? 40 to 50, 75 to 100, or 100 plus miles an hour?
75 to 100.
75 to 100. Okay.
Yeah.
Favorite riding road? Curvy, straightaway, trails and dirt, or scenic?
Can we combine scenic and curvy?
Absolutely. Why the hell not?
Yeah.
This is your
Yeah,
podcast.
California's the best.
I know,
dude.
it's the best, dude. I know. I did that. We flew into San Francisco, rented a bike, and went down the coast all the way to Mexico. Man, that was unbelievable. I love California. I hate the politics in California. But
the mountains in California.
California is
gorgeous.
absolutely by far the most beautiful state in the country, hands down. All right,
Yeah,
next.
you
go ahead.
can't have a cruiser in California though. You need a sport bike.
You
for
need
all
a
the
sport
wind.
bike,
Oh,
for sure.
It's so awesome.
For
Yeah.
sure. Absolutely. All right. Favorite motorcycle movie of all time?
I like Easy Rider.
P2, man. Good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right, great. Next one. Favorite book you ever read?
Favorite book I ever read. Oh man, I'm constantly changing my mind on that. Right now, I'm really obsessed with this Swedish guy who wrote Factfulness. and I keep recommending it to everyone.
What's it about?
How there's a lot of things we believe that are totally false, and when you ask these serious questions about the world to politicians and world experts and PhDs, they get them wrong. Things like what percentage of the world has what percentage of the women of the world has like a secondary education? People are so far off reality and they are making decisions for us. It's crazy.
I know.
Wow.
I know. It's scary who's making decisions for us. All right.
His name is Hans Rosling, and he was the only dude that predicted the pandemic before it happened. It's
really
fucking crazy, dude.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. All right, next one. Who was your hero growing up? It can be a sports person, movies, anybody. Who was one person that you totally loved when you were a kid, that you looked up to?
What was the name of the main character from Gladiator? Maximus.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Russell Crowe, Maximus. Yep. All right, great one.
Yeah.
Such a
Great
movie.
one. All right. If you could meet one person to sit with and have dinner, who would it be, past or present? Could be any, whether they're here or they're not. One person to sit and have dinner with.
Sergey Brin from Google.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued about that airship that he's building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's an
There's a lot of
absolute
potential.
madman. That guy's brain is just, it's not like a normal brain.
Yeah, he's a fucking genius.
Genius. He's a genius for sure. All right, next one. One law you would change if you were president to help the motorcycle community.
I would legalize lane splitting.
Okay.
Yeah, it's so much more fun to ride motorcycle when you can split lanes.
Okay.
Really. Like California, it's fucking awesome.
Okay. Good one. Your go-to alcoholic beverage.
Malbec.
Malbec. Okay.
Malbec, yum.
Nice.
Nice.
That's my favorite wine too. Go-to ice cream flavor.
Cookies and cream.
Cookies and cream. Okay.
Classic.
Outside of your current spouse, who's your all-time crush?
Emma Watson.
Nice.
Okay.
Hermione.
Okay.
You know, Harry Potter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's fucking beautiful.
Yeah, she is. She is. No question. Last meal ever. What would it be?
Steak.
Steak.
A ribeye steak with a side of asparagus. Yeah.
And this
Nice.
this question is for you. This isn't on a normal question list. UCLA or TCU? Who you rooting for?
See you.
All right, man. All right, you're a Texas boy. Good. Me too. I was pulling for them last year against Georgia. I knew they didn't have a chance,
I think
but I
everybody
followed
was.
them. I followed them all season. For some reason, I just started watching them, and I love the quarterback. I love the coach. They were just a team you fall in love with, man. They're just a bunch of nobodies who made something. And yeah, I know Georgia blew them out. Georgia blows everybody out, but I was pulling for them, man. I was hoping the Steelers were going to draft the quarterback, Max.
Max Duggan?
Yeah,
Dude,
man. He went to the Chargers, and then they cut him, right?
I think he's.
Was he on their
back in the
practice squad or
training,
something?
Practice squad, yeah.
Yeah.
But dude, he wasn't that talented.
He was a
But that-
beast.
He was so hardworking, dude. Like just like.
You love the
getting
guy,
pumped,
man.
Leading
Yeah.
and shit, and just keep going. And then when TCU was like behind in every single game, and then they won anyways.
Always came
And-
back. Even
that
against
just-
Kansas State in the championship game when they played them, they had that chance. They were right there.
Like the ref called it
Yeah,
back.
yeah. It was a bullshit call for sure.
But like, yeah, dude, like that kid has like the fucking mental. He didn't get nervous, rattled. He got better, if anything, when
Man,
under pressure.
You're gonna see that kid's gonna come back in a couple of years and he's gonna be a coach, just because he may not be as skilled as the guys that get drafted in the first, second rounds, but man, his brain works. It's like a Tom Brady brain. He can, when there's pressure, that's when he usually succeeds, you know? So I loved watching that kid play, man. That was a great season. That was a great
It
season for
was.
college football to have a Cinderella story like that come in.
We
and
beat
unfortunately
Michigan,
didn't.
dude.
I know, dude. I know. That was badass. That was a
Yeah.
great game, by the way. That was a great game. I know when they beat Michigan, I'm like, man, they might even have a chance to at least stay with Georgia. But then in the beginning, it was 3 and outs, mistakes, and then once Georgia starts to roll, dude, it's just like a train, man. You can't stop it. I mean, Florida State found out this year. You know what I mean? they rolled those guys big time.
Georgia should have. I watched the Georgia Alabama game, and like again, the refs they made 2 horrible calls. Like it would have been like a 3 and out, but then the ref made a horrible call. And
For sure.
Georgia should be in the national championship, in my opinion.
I agreed. I mean, shit, they went undefeated for 2 years straight, and they lost 1 game by 3 points. How do you put them to 6th? From 1 to 6? Yeah, I mean, that's bullshit. I mean, I get it. I mean, Texas, I know they had a good season, but I don't know. Did they play anybody good? I didn't see them play.
They beat Alabama.
Did they? They beat Alabama? That's right.
Alabama.
That's right. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. They did beat Alabama.
Yeah.
You're right. That was Alabama's only loss. That's right.
And when the 12-team playoffs comes on board, though, like
that's what I love. That's what it needs to be, man. This Ford, you can't have these issues. And like, Florida State's undefeated. ACC's a weak conference, but they were undefeated too. I mean, they were in the top 4 the whole year. And then all of a sudden, and then their excuse was, well, the quarterback's injured, so they're not going to be competitive. You're like, why?
That's such bullshit.
That was bullshit.
Yeah, I'm right with you.
Yeah. So, well, cool, man. Well, listen, hey, just wanted to, from the bottom of my heart, and Ben will say his piece with you, but thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to chat with you. Let the people hear the stories of, what it takes and what you're doing and the beauty of RiderShare and where it's going. It's just a phenomenal story as an entrepreneur myself, and Ben too. This is a great thing. So we wish nothing but success for you. We're going to follow this journey along. And in addition to probably have you back maybe at the end of the year, if that's cool with you, and just kind of fill everybody in what's been happening, how 2024 rolled along and things of that nature. So thank you so much for joining our podcast.
Yep.
Truly appreciate you.
Yep. You're an inspiration. I know you're still grinding and working hard and everything, but you're no doubt going to get there. But I know you are an inspiring person to me, but also a bunch of listeners. So we appreciate your time, man. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the One Gang Podcast, brought to you by Cycles Worldwide. Make sure to subscribe for more stories, pro tips, and insider news from the motorcycle universe. Share your stories, questions, and suggestions with us in the One Gang community, where your story could be the highlight of our next episode. Visit cyclesworldwide.com. Until next time, keep the spirit alive and the wheels rolling. This is the One Gang Podcast, where every rider story is a journey worth sharing. Ride safe and stay awesome.